Hello everyone, today's video is going to be extremely critical if you want to learn a proper chess opening that comes with a good middle game and a good end game. After watching this video, you are definitely going to fall in love with this particular opening. The opening name is the London System, and I'm sure that you must have heard the name of this opening. There are many people claiming that this opening is pretty boring and very dull to play, but a good thing about it is I'm going to prove it wrong, and I'm going to show how aggressive this opening can be. And you don't need to memorize anything, you just need to remember the structure. It's easy to play, and I don't want to waste any further time, so let's quickly jump into the video. So coming to the position number 1, we are white. How does the London system is being played? We play d4, d5, we develop our knight, the bishop, and now we simply put our pawn like in the triangle structure. Just a quick disclaimer, we put the bishop outside the pawn chain, so the bishop could be an active piece. And that's it. After c3, black plays knight c6 and we play the move knight to d2. Black plays bishop to d6. And from here, you can say the standard way for black to place this particular position. And from here, the London session begin. After bishop d6, we play the move knight to e5. After knight e5, our idea is pretty clear. We want to cement our knight to e5, followed by knight f3, and we have a good amount of control in the center. So after knight e5, black is having two options to either capture the knight or to play the move queen c7, putting more pressure. If black plays queen to c7, we can play the move knight to f3, short castle, bishop to d3. A very quick note is bishop d3 is very interesting move because we put the bishop in an open diagonal which could be helped in the future. After bishop d3, black plays the move knight to d7, which is a very sensible move. Black wants to play f6 and kick this knight. After knight d7, we are going to play the move knight to g5. And knight g5 is a very interesting move. I have covered 3 moves in the position: f6, g6 and h6. If black plays f6, we are happy to take on h7, giving a check, king h8, and now knight to g6 is a mate. So f6 is a bad move. If g6, which is the main move, if g6, we can capture on h7, sacrificing the knight, followed by queen h5 check. The queen cannot be captured because the pawn is pinned. King move, a check, and now simply sacrificing the knight on g6, followed by mate in 2. That's it. And now, if at the place of g6, black plays the move h6, we play the move bishop h7 check, king move, knight takes pawn check, rook takes h4, check, king takes, and now in the end of the day, white captures even the bishop. You can count the material, white is winning the game. So yeah, that's it if black plays the move queen to c7. If black goes for capturing the knight on e5 with the bishop, you definitely cannot capture the knight with the knight because after pawn takes, you lose a piece. So bishop takes, we capture the bishop with the pawn, keeping the bishop pair. And after d takes, black plays knight to d7, putting more pressure. We play the move queen g4, very strong move, hitting the pawn on g7. And the idea could be, for example, after takes, queen g7, putting pressure over here. Black can no longer castle, and the position is already good for white. So short castle is the main move. And here we can already play bishop h6, putting pressure, threatening mate in 1. g6 fourth move, and now we can even play the move f4, keeping this strong center, and we are not capturing the rook as well because we want to have this a good bishop covering all the dark square. It's more of a positional play. And here black will definitely move the rook, and now we can already play the move h4, h5, capture here, threatening deadly mating ideas. You can already sense it that this position is already winning for white. So this was the diagram number 1, the position number 1. So now let's move on to the position number 2. Coming to the position number 2, we are playing with the white pieces. We play the move d4, d5, bishop f4, knight f6, e3, e6, bishop d3, c5, c3, knight c6, knight f3. As I said, it doesn't really matter the move order, but what it really matters is the structure. We come up with this particular structure. Bishop d6, and here we play the move bishop to g3. After bishop g3, if black goes for capturing the light square bishop, takes, and here short castle, you can already sense how we can use this to our benefit to attack the black king, because we haven't castled yet. So we can simply try to do a long castle and use this rook to our advantage by putting the pressure on the king side. So let's check short castle. Knight to d2, queen to e7, knight to e5. Queen e7 is a very interesting move by black. The idea is very simple. Black wants to play the move e5, and once the e5, like for example if short castle, black is happy to play the move e5. Pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes. You can already sense black is pretty comfortable in the position, having a nice center. Idea is to develop the bishop, and black is extremely fine. So we are going to play the move knight to e5, not allowing black to open up the position. Black plays knight to d7. Idea is to play the move f6 and try to put more pressure on the knight on e5. We capture the knight, bishop takes, we capture the bishop, and finally the pawn. After queen takes, we capture the pawn on h7, boom. King takes, queen h5 check, king g8, and here it looks like now nothing is happening. There is no knight on f3, which comes to g5 and threaten mate in 1. So what's happening? After king g8, we are having a very strong move, knight to e4. You cannot capture the knight because the queen is hanging, and yeah, the queen is still hanging. So you have to move the queen, and now comes the move knight to g5, threatening mate in 1. Black rook have to move. We can capture the pawn, even the bishop, and if black tries to capture the pawn, we can even simply short castle. You can already see how black king is more exposed compared to the white king, and the position is already very good for white. And if at the place of rook e8, black plays the move rook d8, which I think is the best move. After rook d8, we simply capture with the pawn check, king h8, and simply do a long castle, protecting the b2 pawn, and at the same time our idea is to simply push the pawn, the h pawn, harry the h pawn, and we can simply win the game. So yeah, this was the position number 2. You must know about these ideas like bishop into h7 check, queen check, followed by this knight e4. So yeah, this was the position number 2. So now let's move on to the position number 3. In the position number 3, we are going to discuss a trap. You must know we are playing with the white pieces. We play the move d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, bishop f4, c5. This is one of the structure that black usually plays. e3, knight c6, knight c3, and black plays the move d5. Thinking that everything is fine, what's the difference? White put the knight on c3 at the place of d2, which is the main difference. After d5, white is already winning the game after knight to b5, and you can already sense white's idea is to put the knight on c7, and you can't really stop it. So what can you even do? It's already losing for black. The best move is to capture the pawn. We give a check, king move, and now at the place of capturing the rook, which you can do if you want, I prefer e into d4, simply capturing the pawn. A rook b8, and now simply coming back to b5, hitting this rook. The rook have to move, and now we can play the move knight e5 check, trading off the pair of knight. And the good thing is we capture with the pawn. That's the main idea. And here after pawn takes, you have to move the knight, and you can already sense the main disadvantage for black is the weak king in the center. We can just open up the position via c4, and the position is already winning. There is no need to capture an exchange in the position where we played the move e into d4. We can capture the exchange if we want, but it makes a position a bit complicated after bishop b4 check. That's the thing we want to avoid. So yeah, this was the trap number 3. You must know. So now let's move on to the trap number 4. Coming to the trap number 4, we are playing with the white pieces. We play the move d4, knight f6, bishop f4, e6, knight f3, c5, e3, knight to c6, knight c3, and now here comes the move queen to b6 at the place of d5. Idea is pretty logical. Black wants to capture the b2 pawn. Here we set some kind of trap by playing the move a3. Black is like, what's happening? Let's capture the pawn, and now we surprise our opponent via knight f4. You can simply resign in the position because the b2 queen is simply trapped. There is no way for the queen to escape. It's winning for white. So yeah, this was the trap number 4. So now let's move on to the trap number 5. Coming to the trap number 5, we are playing with the white pieces. We play the move d4, knight f6, bishop f4, d5, knight f3, c5, e3, queen b6. And this is one of the most popular way to play. You put pressure on the b2 pawn, develop the queen early, and here we simply develop our knight. We are like, we don't care about the b2 pawn. Black happily captures it and thinking that the queen is still not trapped. After knight f4, I can simply run away via queen b4 check. So what's happening? But here we are going to surprise our opponent by playing the move knight to b5, threatening knight to c7. And now black's thinking, what's happening? I'll simply defend it via knight a6, covering the c7 square. We are going to play the move rook b1. And here black is having the only move to capture the a2 pawn. We play the move rook a1 again, queen b2, and now finally we give an exchange sack on a6. Pawn takes as a fourth move, or you'll be a piece down. Knight c7 check. It's a check and you are losing the rook simultaneously. And here black is having two options, king d8 and king d7. If king d7, knight e5 check, you can capture the knight, but after knight d3 check, you lose the queen as well. It's not working. So king d8, which is the main move, we can capture the rook if we want, but we have even a powerful move, knight to g5, threatening knight into f7, which is even more deadlier, and the position is completely hopeless for black, completely losing. So yeah, this was the trap number 5 you must know. So now let's move on to the trap number 6. Coming to the trap number 6, we are playing with the white pieces. We start the game with 1d4, knight f6, bishop f4, e6, knight f3, d5, e3, bishop to d6. We put our knight to e5, c5, c3, short castle, bishop d3, knight c6, knight d2. As I said, like the same position, just a different move order. Knight d2, bishop into knight, pawn into knight to d7. White defends it via knight f3, putting double protection, queen c7. And here black is like, okay, now it's a triple attack. What can you do? I'm going to be a pawn up on the next move. What are we going to do? Sacrificing the bishop on h7. King takes, knight to g5 check. Two moves are there, king g8 and king g6. If king g8, it's pretty standard way to play queen to h5, threatening mate in 1. Rook have to move to avoid mate, but after queen into f7 check, check, a series of check, and it's a mate. So yeah, this is what happens if black plays the move king g8. If king g6, which is more practical way to play, we play the move queen to c2 check. There are many players who simply go for playing the move queen g4, which is a blunder, because after knight takes pawn, after knight takes pawn, if takes, knight takes, you're losing the queen, and yeah, it's not good. Black is the one better in the game. So that is the thing we must avoid. We are having a much powerful move, which is queen to c2 check, where if the king move, it's mate in 1. So black have to play f5, but after and pass in and giving a check, king takes, it is a check, and we can even capture the queen. It's game over for black. So yeah, this was the way you should play whenever you are having this opportunity or sacrifice the bishop on h7. Always look out for it. So this was the trap number 6. You must always know for it. And now let's move on to the position number 7. In the position number 7, we are going to discuss how to play against the London system, which is a thing that many players really wants to learn. White plays 1d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, bishop f4. We are going to play the move g6, developing our bishop via g6. We have a Grunfeld structure like this, short castle, c3, and now we play the move c5. After c5, if white captures the pawn dc5, we can simply play the move knight d7, hitting the pawn. White tries to protect it. Congratulations, e5, hitting the bishop. The bishop moves. We are even having e4, even a stronger move. So after bishop g5, hitting the queen, pushing the pawn to e4, hitting a piece, and yeah, it's winning for black, because black is going to win the piece in the end of the day. So yeah, this is how you should play after knight d7. You can even play the move knight b to d7. After b4, a5. Idea is to take, so white will put more protection to it. But after a3, we are even having a stronger move, knight e4. Double attack on the c3 pawn. So here, two moves I have covered. If bishop takes knight, pawn takes. Knight is attacked. if knight goes to d4, you can already play the move e5. A piece is trapped. So if knight d2, you can simply capture the pawn, and you can sense neither of the pawn can capture the pawn because the rook is being dead. So yeah, this is how you should play. So if white plays the move queen c2, putting more pressure over here and also protecting the c3, you can still capture the pawn. Neither of the pawn can capture the pawn because the rook is still hanging. So this is how you should play if white captures the pawn on c4. So now let's try to discuss if white doesn't capture the pawn and play the move knight to d2, ignoring this pawn. We simply develop our knight, short castle, and now we finally play the move knight to d7. Our idea is to open up the center via playing e5 and also protecting the c5 pawn. h3 for example, we simply e5, pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes, knight takes, and bishop to c2. If we capture the knight, we can be the one fighting for a win now because we are having the bishop pair, looking at the king side, and we are already better after maybe bishop c7, queen d6. We are the one in the driver's seat. So yeah, bishop goes back, bishop e6, knight to f3. We can even simply trade off the knights and play the move queen to b6, putting more pressure on the b2 pawn. Rook defends it, and now we play the move rook d8, simply open up the position via d4. The position is equalish and there is no problem for black. Black is very comfortable. So yeah, this is the way you can play if white plays anything like this. So yeah, this was the 7th position, including traps, that you must know if you want to play the London system or if you're looking for a video how to play against the London system. Yeah, so yeah, this was the perfect video for you if you want to learn the London system. I hope that you guys must have liked the video. If you did, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and if you are new to our channel, then make sure to subscribe to our channel. I'm going to come with these interesting videos like this. If you want a video on any particular topic, just tell me in the comment box below. But before leaving, I'm having a quiz for you. Let's jump to the quiz. We are playing with the white pieces. We play d4, d6, bishop f4, knight d7, e3, g6, knight f3, bishop g7, bishop c4, and black plays the move knight to f6. So what is the best move for white in the position? How should white continue in the position? Tell me in the comment box below, and the first person to tell me the complete right variation, I'm going to pin the person. And yeah, I'm going to come up with this interesting videos like this. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching OneShot Chess.